report. And Michelle's here with your questions and announcements. Go ahead.
Hey, hi everyone, and welcome to the firing line on this Veterans Day, November 11th. And I guess in Canada they call it Remembrance Day, or as I remember, Poppy Day. And remember that? Poppy Day.
Did you know why? Because of the song, the poem, Among the Fields,
Flanders
Fields. Among the
Flanders fields the poppies grow.
Among the crosses, row on row, and in the sky the birds still singing fly.
You're gonna cry, aren't you?
Yeah.
I know, because we need to thank all the people that served and are presently serving in the armed forces. You see, Veterans Day is for everyone that serves in the armed forces.
Right.
Whereas Memorial Day is for everyone that's lost their lives serving in the armed forces. So today is a real important day, and you want any specials or anything at all, please call us at 888-212-8871. Anything you want, within reason. We'll be here for you at Nutrimedical, and of course you'd have to call to get those specials. They're not on the website for the general public. So that's 888-212-8871. And Bill, how's your day going?
It's going fabulously. We dealt with some pretty hard science over Zika virus and the Oxitec virus, the gene plague. We talked about that in the last hours. We also alluded to what we're going to talk about in the videos tomorrow, both solar and galactic events. And we also talked about, with Matthew, he was on the last half of the first hour. He was on talking about the protests and the other things going on.
Yes, because he's up in Portland. And what did he say about the protests in Portland? I imagine
they were by 8:30. They were declaring a riot because the mayor of Portland is pretty democratic, and he didn't want to declare a riot earlier in the afternoon. He should have, because he went to a Pearl district of downtown Portland.
We know where that is.
And they took out baseball bats and were smashing the windows of high-end stores, restaurants, and smashing cars. And they waited until there was a lot of destruction before they arrested 27 people out of 2,000 protesters. Unfortunately, again, it was Black Lives Matter and MoveOn.org that should have been banned, and they should also take Delta Force and grab Mr. Soros and put him to a military court, and if found guilty, they should execute them.
So are they in kind of an emergency? What's the mayor doing now in Portland?
Probably nothing. Usually when you have a Democratic mayor, they're going to, once the group was dispersed, they do nothing, and they don't do anything proactive to prevent it from happening again. So, unfortunately, business people in the downtown area are in danger that if they decide to come back and do another protest, they're going to smash windows and cars.
Well, on a different note, on a happy note, I was going to bring to your attention, I thought I would do it on the air. Are you with me?
Absolutely. I've been talking a lot, so I need some
you didn't get a break this morning. There you go.
2 hours of talking and talking beforehand, right?
Ever since Bill and I were up, it would have been November the 9th by then. This is the election night. We stayed up to the very, very bitter end. Here in California, it was almost 3 o'clock, wasn't it, Bill?
Yeah, around 3.
Before we went to bed. But I noticed something funny about Bill. When he did go to sleep, he actually went to sleep with a smile on his face all night long. It was the funniest thing. You're smiling in your sleep. You haven't taken that smile off your face since that night. Look at you. You're still smiling. Well, you put a lot of effort and a lot of help in.
Yeah, we have a larger audience, by the way, than MSNBC. We have millions of listeners, and they actually listened. We also had a lot of good Christians, Catholics and evangelicals and regular Christians who voted, prayed, and actually voted. 81% of evangelicals voted for Trump. Only 16%, for some reason, God knows what it was, decided not to. And I can't understand how anybody who calls himself a Christian can vote for somebody that recommends third trimester abortion. So we had a lot of good people who stood, including our veterans, who 2-1 were voting for Trump, which means he's going to do good things for them. If they can't get into a hospital right away, they're going to get access to a private doctor right away.
What this means to me is, I think what's really probably of first importance to me is the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because abortion is, the partial birth abortion has to go. And I need to, I'm hoping
not just partial birth,
that something is going to, abortion itself, but it's in there.
No, you can't do it partially. Let me explain what the thing is. The first thing,
all abortion, of course, I mean all abortion, but this was up,
It's outlawed in a lot of states already, partial birth abortion, like 40-some states. It's already outlawed. The thing is, in what we call really deteriorating countries like Canada and Europe, they do a lot of really bad things that are against the law. In America, Roe versus Wade was passed in 73, about 5 years before ultrasound became standard in America. I was trained under Dr. McMillan while I was in medical school to do ultrasounds. And in states where the mother has to see an ultrasound before they do an abortion, if they sign for it, 78% of women won't abort once they see their ultrasound. Because they realize it's a baby, it's not a lump of tissue. And
also, once they have a child and they follow their pregnancy, they wouldn't have an abortion, I would assume.
Right.
Because you see it, right from the very day of conception, you see right through.
But I believe in birth control. I think that every girl should be able to have the option of their mother or parent deciding to put a child and put a valve in there so they can't get pregnant or pelvic inflammatory disease. Because right now, the amount of PID, pelvic inflammatory disease from chlamydia and gonorrhea now, which is exploding again, is making these young girls sterile. Or giving them PID, so they're going to have behavior. You're going to have consequences of delivery. So what I'd like to see is a valve put in, and they can't get, and they don't have to take birth control pill because the old horse marrow urine contains 16-hydroxyestrone adducts and it causes breast cancer. They know this. They know the endocrine disruptors will cause breast cancer in women later. So to me, women have the right to control their birthing process, but not to abort a baby. Once it's genetically distinct, they don't have the right to abort. And I think we have to make it absolute because with the CRISPR protocol and genetic engineering, you'll see people who are unethical. For example, I just was researching on stem cell regenerative centers, and the biggest one in the world is actually just south of San Francisco. And they're doing embryonic stem cell research, and they're not making good progress, and this is pretty horrendous stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you don't think that they can grow in a laboratory a transhuman that's part animal, part human, you're delusional, because eventually they will.
Getting back to the election, hi Blaine. Hi Blaine up there in Canada. Our good friend Blaine from Edmonton, Alberta. He said to me, Michelle, if Trump gets in, I'm going to take out my U.S. citizenship. Yeah,
Blaine is one of our good friends. He's runs a business up there at the Mall of the Americas. He's a very smart guy, very wealthy guy. And to be honest with you, he's a good American candidate.
He also had a question for you for today for the firing line.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the best product or products to take for the pineal gland?
The pineal gland, Indiamese, number 1. And number 2, Minerals Plus. Number 3, Brain Power and Cognition Plus. Calm Mind and Brain Mag.
Wait, now, are you working on our Indiamese too right now?
Yes.
On our own? Yeah, that'll probably be a while.
No, okay. Yeah, whatever you wanted, okay. Yeah. I have the technology worked up in my head, but I'll do it when you tell me to go ahead, because we still have the Indiamese inventory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you tell me.
As I say, you can go on to the next level.
Excuse me. Russell from Alabama, Bill. Something about he didn't listen to Dr. DEAGLE. Well, he did listen to him, his advice about peptides, and went off. Russell, my dear, we're telling everybody on you. It's Tattletale Day, but he went off and got something from somewhere else, and what happened?
Well, I think he was trying to take away inflammation that he had in his body. So he had a synthetic form of serapeptase, which is made from a bacterium called serapeptase, right, an enzyme. And he had an eye disorder, and it actually is probably one of the factors why he got a retinal detachment. Because if you use these enzymes and you already have a partial tear of your retina, you can actually get a separation.
Yeah, it happened pretty quick for him, too, didn't it?
Right. So I tell people, the service is our ministry. People need to get this. It's a Christian ministry. We provide by email, and by the way, if it's urgent, you can put it through an urgent email, and I'll answer 7 days a week. Now, if you don't get the regular one, because we're going to be going the end of next week away for a few days, you can email me even when I'm away, and I'll check it and respond to you. But if you've got an urgent issue, email me. The regular one goes through Nutrimedical, but if you need my own personal, it's drbilldeagle@hotmail.com for urgent.
Because we are a Christian ministry, Bill, would you today give me a minute here to read a verse that I love from this week, of all my Bible verses that I have, that I get through the Bible Gateway?
Right.
This was my favorite this week. And it's 1 John 2:15 to 16. I think we all know this. It makes me think of my favorite football player ever, Tim Tebow.
Oh, yeah.
Which we support his ministry.
Yeah, Tebow Ministries, right?
Yeah, we support it. He's got a new book out, Shaken. I just bought it. It's not here yet, but Mitzi got her copy.
By the way, he needs to run for president. I want to see it. I want to see President Tebow. How's that?
Anyways, love not the world.
After Mike Pence finishes in about another 16 years, he needs to be President Tebow. How's that?
May I read this?
I'm just kidding.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of this world. What do you have to say to that?
If you try to control the nature of reality in the future for your own personal benefit of those people around you, you don't understand that God is an eternal God, and his eternal wisdom is above ours. Just like when he said to Job, remember? Mm-hmm. And he said, my ways are higher than your ways. And you can't understand who was there when I laid the foundation of the universe.
Yeah.
What God is saying is that I am the source of all goodness, all wisdom, and all truth. And if you don't understand that, we don't understand the foundation even of our Constitution is based on God principles that transcend human wisdom and knowledge. Mm-hmm. And it transcends time and space as well, and even relationships, because the ultimate relationship is not with each other, it has to be with God. So that's why when you have a marriage or a family or a nation, the first relationship has to be with God, or the family and the foundation of a nation can never exist.
I couldn't be married to someone that isn't a strong believer. Could you?
No.
I mean, how would it
because your marriage ultimately is held together. The ring that holds it together is a supernatural ring from God.
It is.
Yeah, it's not. It's not just a bonding because you like another person, and you have good sex, or you have a nice family, or they're wealthy, or you're like the mafia. They're marrying a competing mafia don family.
But sex helps. I'm embarrassing you again, right?
No, not really.
It helps. It's important. Don't diminish it. I know you don't want to talk to me about that, do you?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. How about Charlie from Arizona, Bill? See this word? Garcinia
Cambogia.
Yeah, G-A-R. See that? He called and wanted me to ask you if that is safe and good for weight loss. And what is it?
Garcinia basically has HCA. Basically, it helps to work on sugar metabolism. Our program, which is in diabetoline and berberstatin, is superior to that. Okay, so the problem is, a lot of people are trying to second guess and figure that they're going to find something that is out there that's not as good. And remember, Dr. DEAGLE is a filter. I mean, I've researched different things. There's a million products, for example, help to calm down the brain. Brain Mag and Calm Mind are at the top of the heap.
Yes.
Okay, you can find all kinds of things. You can find an herbal thing that, skull cap and, other things. But I search her out. If I add a new product or if I do that, you have to understand that I've already done all that legwork, so I'll save you a lot of grief. Just take a diabetoline, add a berberstatin twice a day, start on leptin metabolic, and start substituting snacks and meals, and your blood sugar and so on will come down. If you're trying to lose weight, by the way, you want to turn your brown fat into white fat. And there's two things you can take. Topically on your abdomen, put the curcumin cream because it turns brown fat into white fat into brown fat, right? And take orally forskolin, which will add Coleus forskolii, converts white fat, which is toxic, dangerous fat, into brown fat to burn off calories.
David from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, just made his first purchase with Nutrimedical, Bill, and it's a 3-pack of the Nutru Silver.
Right.
And for the instructions for the Nutru Silver, for all you listeners, you might want to know this, they are the same as the instructions were for the
Right,
Silver
and I got a new
100s.
label that's going to reflect that. That's coming up with the next batch, which should be ready for the big sale coming up at the end of the month over Thanksgiving weekend.
This morning, Bill, I actually got to chat with Mauricio from Massachusetts, and he is taking the ageless chocolate and the life support chocolate.
So he's going to be happy, healthy guy.
He loves it. Of course, we all love it. Anyone that's tried the drinks loves it. We do find, like I do find from people that I speak with, that when you're like me and you're taking the ageless and the life support, we take a heaping scoop of each. So you actually save, it lasts longer. by doing that. And Mauricio wanted me to ask you if that was okay to take it that way. I was going to take my word for it, and I said, don't take my word for it.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's
Is that okay to take a heaping scoop of the ageless and a heaping of the life support?
Yeah.
Rather than it says 2 scoops on the bottle and on the canister, and then
you don't need to do that. In fact, when I mix up the drink, which is syrup, I mix it in our blender and I keep it in the fridge.
Yes.
It has 2 scoops of each of those in the whole container.
Yes.
So that lasts literally a whole week.
Yeah.
Okay, so
why? I don't know why that. We should probably get them to fix that label or something, because it's
not really. No, the thing is because maybe that's an entire.
That's
meal.
the only thing they're taking.
That's maybe the only thing they're taking, and they're basically a substitute for a lot of other vitamins and so on. So a lot of people, they don't want to swallow pills. I tell them they can to open some of the pills and puncture the soft gels with a corn skewer, and that's what I do with a lot of other things I add to our drink. I call it syrup for myself and Kelsey. I
have a Mishi question. You know that I'm taking much more this past couple of years than I ever used to as I've get a little bit older. Now I'm 38 instead of 39.
Oh, yeah, right. You're going the other way, right?
Of course I am. Anyways, the vein away. I had a lady talk to me before and thought there's a funny, like a smell with the vein away. Do you know what it is?
Yes, it's a Spanish orange. It's the white part of the Spanish orange, and it's a nanoparticle size that heals your veins, arteries, and blood vessels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you get that smell when you put it in your mouth there, you go like, I sort of think.
It's diosmin, and it's a particular nanoparticle size. Yeah.
Okay, Bill. Well, you know what? If I start into the questions, the music's going to hit any moment now.
No, you got 4 minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes? Okay, well, then we'll start with Teresa from her iPhone. Thank you, she says. Lonnie, my husband, and I enjoy your broadcast immensely and look forward to ordering your Nutrimeds soon. I compose music to the Psalms.
Right.
Was wondering if my melodies have the same harmonics as the healing harmonics. Can I send you some of my songs to test them? Thanks for all your work.
Well, that would take quite a bit of work, but what you do is you do what's a spectral analysis, and if the frequencies are the same as the atomic resonance of the minerals, because here's how your genes work, and let me explain that in my lecture, okay?
Okay.
And I'll get down to the actual core. The way every living thing works is the genetic material sends a vibration to the cell membrane around, or the envelope around any living thing, even a bacterial cell wall, and tells the cell wall to allow certain minerals to come in, because the mineral content turns the genes on and off.
Is that amazing? Is God amazing?
Right.
That's amazing.
Now, he gave this to me in a vision, actually. You have to understand, this is supernatural. But I have the proof of it. We actually have the atomic resonance worked out.
Did you say I have to understand?
Yes.
I have to. You
have
to understand.
The reason is that, now this goes back to Linus Pauling and Albert Einstein and Planck and Max Planck, etc. But we actually have the atomic resonance frequencies of every major and minor mineral. Every disease state, including aging, is due to gene silencing by turning off the mineral content in the cell.
Wow.
So, for example, when you lose manganese, the manganese-dependent pigment enzymes make your hair turn gray. So when your hair turns gray, it's your hair follicles telling them, don't let manganese in, because the pigment genes that actually make the pigment for your hair to turn black or to be colored are shut off.
Wow.
So every disease state, including ones created by toxins like mercury or genetic aging, and what happens, the way the body works is there's 4 parts to the song of DNA of life. First phase, you create a placenta and a fetus, because remember now, your genes code for a placenta as well, because it's making biomolecules like mountain red velvet to feed the fetus. Okay. Second phase is it takes a child that's born and makes it reproducible, so it goes through teenage life and goes through menarche or to a child to be able to have normal sexual activity as a teenager. Then finally, you have maturation. You can have a family. And you have maturity, and you have then a family unit. And then finally, you have gene silencing. So the fourth part, we have some time here now with a big, long segment to answer a lot of questions. Go ahead, Mish.
Yeah, Dave, in an email. Michelle, I've been a listener for years, and I've spoken to Dr. DEAGLE on the phone before, and I call in on the radio show from time to time.
Ooh, good.
For quite some time now, I've been contemplating the possibility of getting a QRMA device, and in fact, I'm interested in learning more about what's required to become a QRMA testing center, and I heard you and Dr. DEAGLE mention about obtaining a device on a payment plan. That's right. And then he says, please respond back. I work full-time at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Center here in Oklahoma City. So he's from Oklahoma.
He's a cowboy. He's immediately qualified. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me explain. Anybody can become a testing site. You don't have to have special qualifications to be a health provider or professional trainer or nurse or anything. It's real simple. Here's the steps. Number one, you can get a device and you can pay it on time. For you and your immediate family, doing the analysis of the QRMA is totally covered by your purchase of the machine. If you're doing it for someone else, there's a couple of steps. The first step is that when they do a test, it's actually a consult. I need the 2 consult units of time purchased first before they do the test. I need the 11-page history form filled out, which allows me to analyze their history, right? And a little paragraph or so, maybe an additional, that maybe explain what their goals are and what they're taking in terms of supplements and so on, which is in that 11-page form. Then they send a compressed file, okay, of the QRMA, which I analyze along with their 11-page history and any attached documents they want. They can attach like lab work, MRI, CT scans, whatever. And again, Dr. Bill's 45 plus years, I mesh all this super data together, and then I'll tell them what illnesses they probably have or need to be investigated, what supplements they need to take, what benchmarks of testing they need to do, both conventional and advanced, and when we need to be reevaluating them. And that's really useful because it'll tell them, the people that have taken the QRMA test, after a year, usually are on 1/3 as many supplements, but they're different than what they started because their condition changes, and they're only taking what they need rather than everything they think they want.
Guess how old you were 45 years ago? You're only 19. You're only 64, Bill.
No.
Make yourself sound like you're 80 or 90 or something.
Well, it's around that. Okay, when I was doing my work, for example...
You feel older, do you?
No, I went to medical school in 1973, which is 43 years ago. Believe it or not. And I did my PhD research the year before at age 21. So... But
you're still... It's not 45.
I'm an old dude now.
It's not 45.
Old dude and still smart. And
not that old.
Pain in the butt,
You're making me feel old saying 45 years.
Yeah, as time goes on. Soon it'll be half a century.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
You'll have to get working on that, reversing the anti-aging, keep us here for... Well, I don't know. If it gets real bad here, you might be praying to God.
I've been talking yesterday to most of the major centers in America for organ regeneration centers, and of course I'm presenting my lecture to the Academy in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah, we're
in
going
December
to
Anti-Aging Academy, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. Yeah. And if we harness the brains and the ability and the finances and resources of thousands of doctors around the world, I'm going to introduce my theory to. When they can prove my theory is correct, which I know they will, it will mean the barrier to human lifespan will be broken. So you're going to be able to see during this century, many more people living well over 100 years of age, and also getting what I call the vigorous elderly. In other words, people that actually start to get younger as they get older rather than older, and regenerating organs and tissues, including people who've had blast injuries like our vets. We're going to be able to regenerate arms and legs and hearts and eyeballs and other things, and this is going to happen.
CT was, that's supposed to say for short, hi, from Idaho. Hi, gang, looked all over the site, can't find extreme testosterone. Bill, we were supposed to switch to fix the protocols for products that we've upgraded, to the men's.
Well, let me explain the protocol. Right now, the protocol is Men's Max to release your male hormone from sex hormone binding globulin, hormone synergy to prevent you from converting male hormone to female, DHEA, and pregnenolone, which your body converts your adrenal glands to adrenal hormones and your male hormones.
He's looking here for the pregnenolone 100 milligram capsules, but we've upgraded
the transdermal is better.
I know.
Now, the reason why it's better...
But you must still have it on the protocols.
It's a really old protocol. The thing is also we have testosterone coming too, topical testosterone gel.
If you're listening and you can't find a product in the protocol,
just drop me an email.
It's not updated.
Yeah.
So drop an email.
If it looks older than last year, let's say 2015, then just email me and I'll give you the updated protocol posted. Because there's hundreds of protocols up there. A lot of them need to be updated.
And there's only so many hours in the day, right?
Only so many hours in the day.
And you're the only one that can update them. If I could, I'd do it.
No, it's all in my head. So, Michelle, I mentioned before about male. We also have the male testosterone coming, too. That'll be here shortly.
What's that?
The testosterone gel. We have the DHA and pregnenolone, which you need because you want to make your own testosterone, but you want a little additional if your levels are low. Now, in terms of females, we have the femgesterone, progesterone, and your body makes the estrogen from the DHA and pregnenolone. So, in other words, we have a comprehensive program to make sure, no matter what, that we bring your levels up to normal. Now, I had also listened to a commercial with someone trying to market some kind of growth hormone releasing factor. Everything else is garbage. We have the things to do it. We have microdose, which is actual nanoparticle, real human growth hormone. It helps your brain release the growth hormone from the brain. We also have Mountain Red Velvet that actually has IGF-1 in it.
We call it microdose because we can't put the H.
No, I do. I call it microdose HGH. It's just that it's for the FDA.
The FDA. We had to
FDA.
hide it in there.
No, not really. I'm a doctor. Doctors are not
why
under
do
it.
we call it microdose?
Because
don't you remember doing that back then?
One of the companies that makes it for us is worried about it, but doctors are not.
They were worried about the FDA.
Doctors are not under the FDA ever since 1928 when they set up the FDA. FDA doesn't mean anything to doctors. They're irrelevant.
Okay, David in Indianapolis.
Right.
My mother, who is nearing 80 years of age, recently discovered she has a fracture in her pelvis. The ortho provider recommended bed rest for 6 weeks and the use of a wheelchair when moving from room to room, but nothing else. What else might be done besides remaining in bed for 6 weeks to encourage and ensure healing given her age and type 2 diabetes? Thanks for all the wonderful products and information.
The doctor's advice is stupid. First off, you got to keep her elevated and active. The best way is to get a VibraSlim machine so that she can get compression for a fraction of a second. You want to give her bone generator, 6 capsules after the 2 largest meals, MyCell D3, at least 4 to 5 soft gels twice a day, 5,000 units, Myco D2 at least 2 twice a day, and full vitamin K2 at least 2 twice a day. And you want to give her Collagen Max because 42% of the dry weight of bones is collagen. And I would also add to it Mountain Red Velvet and Her Majesty's Royal Jelly. If you do that and you do vibrational exercise, you can also do external pulsation therapy to stimulate her stem cells with lumen photon. And you want to put it on the NICO setting over the bone fracture areas based on her DEXA bone scan. And you can use the micropulse, which increase stem cells in the tissues underlying it up to 400%. So the micropulse and lumen photon, vibrational exercise, and the use of our supplements can reverse it. Never use a bisphosphonate drug because it actually can cause rupture of your lower esophagus. It also is very dangerous. And the doctor's advice of being bed rest and so on is completely stupid and insane.
Next is Brenda, Bill. In an email, I'm not sure, Brenda, where you're from or anything. You just say you love the silver, or Nutri Silver, but she doesn't say too much more. But her question, Bill, is my nephew is 1 year old. He's been assessed as having diminished hearing by 40%. Oh, that's Canadian, so she's Canadian. The Canadian medical doctor is promoting insertion of tubes into both ears followed by surgery. Do you agree? And if not, what is the alternative?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to get a proper hearing study done for conductive and neurological hearing loss. Then I need to get data to determine if there's neurological hearing loss due to inflammation in the endolymph and the air semicircular canals and the balance mechanism as well, with a vestibular study and making sure there's no signs of in-ear problems. If there's only a conductive hearing loss, the most common thing is what's called floppy tubes, and it's a tamping down of the oval window that allows the stapes bones to move on the oval window and allow forces from your ear to actually impinge on the hearing to transfer to the hair cells in your hearing mechanism in your ear. They put tubes in as a quick and dirty response, which can help. So that can help a bit. The main thing is you've got to reduce food allergies. You have to increase the insufflation of the eustachian tube, etc. So what the problem is that when you put in tubes, you often lose 15 decibels of hearing pressure sensitivity, and it means there's actually reduction in hearing caused by it in the average child. And the child that already has blocked eustachian tubes, it may help. So what I would say is get the proper test done of a full audiometry evaluation, and then they should also make sure that the child doesn't have food allergies or inhaled allergies or chronic low-grade infection that's causing inflammation of what's called a Waldeier's ring, which includes the tonsils and the adenoid glands, which can be affected, and it could be cryptitis. And of course, our antipathogenics will help deal with the cryptitis as well as NutriDefense. So NutriSilver can help a lot. You can do things to reduce the swelling of the eustachian tube, like high-dose power seed. You can make a drink out of it for a child. And you can reduce the inflammation using things in the middle ear, using Gamma E Plus and CoQ10 ubiquinol, and anti-inflammatory cell defense, which reduces cytokines in the middle ear. The problem is the eustachian tube swelling is usually caused by food allergies and chronic viral or epigenetic infections like Candida albicans if the child's diabetic, or has some other pathogens, even parasites. For example, Enterobium vermicularis, which is a pinworm, can even grow in the nose, or even Ascarius lumbricoides. And you've seen people who have actually pulled the worms out of their nose, and they've got chronic eustachian tube problems, and they have bacterial cryptitis from one or more pathogens, and they have parasites in their nose. So they need an ENT specialist to do proper evaluations. And tubes can help for a while, but you don't want to keep them in there forever. And ultimately, you've got to deal with the underlying problems. Does the child have a food allergy? Mm-hmm. Do they have other factors like chronic low-grade infection?
Joanna, Bill? Joanna, you know Joanna from her iPad up in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Do you remember Kira? First of all, she's a praise report about her. I don't know if you've gotten this email or not, but remember her hair and her eyesight and everything, and boy, she's still going. And I think that dog
You're talking about Kira, her miracle dog.
Yeah. So that was she started.
We rescued that dog, by the way,
That's right.
after many veterinarians totally wrote the dog off
and
wouldn't investigate the fact that we proved that there was a chronic fungal infection causing a lot of the problems, not cancer. And the knucklehead veterinarians, believe it or not, stupidity is not just limited to medical doctors. It also occurs in the veterinary profession too.
Yeah, she says, hi, Michelle and Dr. Bill. Now, since elections are over, yay, she goes. Of course, there's lots of yays out there, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if she's up with a smile
Except
on
if
her
you're
face.
Black Lives Matter or MoveOn.org.
Bill, don't think of negativity. Think of positive things.
No, that's a positive thing, because once they stop crying, they can realize they're American citizens too, and we're going to make life better for them as well. They just need to stop crying and playing with their Play-Doh and their crayons and their crayons at universities.
Okay, let's get into her email. I now can speak with you about joining your team, Carrot Bars. I have already spoken to 3 people, and they're all interested. And I was reading the 10 steps that Michelle has on the website, and they're waiting for me to talk with you so I can follow up with them. Now, Bill, how do people get involved in the Carrot Bars? What are the steps to do that?
The first step is, number one, they should they should have someone like us upline, or Pete Fedek or Jim Deal.
So the first thing is to go online.
Go online and actually just look at some of the videos.
Online is Nutrimedical.com.
And they go to the thing below. It shows a Carrot Bar globe, a golden globe, below the black sign that says Carrot Bars. Yeah. Then once they've looked at them, they're interested, they can sign up to get Carrot Bars, right? And then they start preparing their what's called Know Your Customer documents, which are to prove that you're a real person, not a cyber person.
Yeah.
And then the third sign is you make a list, and your upline will actually play the sizzle call, which is a 5-minute phone call usually, that explains the business, which basically is a gold saving club by gold by the gram in a mobile vault called a Carrot Bar card, 1, 2.5, and 5 grams, or the Carrot Bar notes, which are fractions of a gram of gold in the note. So it's not made by the Federal Reserve or a bank or whatever, so it can't be devalued. It means you can have the currency shipped to you from Germany, or you can keep it in their vault, and you can actually have a K exchange where you can actually do international exchange and buying and selling things using K exchange. There are also kiosks being set up for around the world. You can get fractional reserve currency or your Carrot Bar cards or gold based on your ID.
Do you still have Pete on the air with you?
Yes, Pete's on there. He was on this week.
Yeah.
Jim hasn't been on for a few weeks, but he's been busy, but I'll have him back on. I left a message for Jim Deal. Okay. And they have training sessions, too, so you get training sessions and motivation. There are other people, in fact, John Stapmiller was introduced to Carrot Bars before we even started over here, and his line wasn't doing much good or giving him much support. Our line does. So if you do join our line, we're going to give you people that we'll sponsor and put under you. We'll help train you. We'll actually show you how to do sizzle calls, how to be motivated, and how to work deep. If people aren't interested in working it, even if they signed up, next you move on deep. And you might find your 10 levels deep before you get somebody that's dynamic and wants to build a business. That's the only people you work with. And the other people you can keep in contact, because there really is no comparison. It's taking fractional reserve funny money, I call anti-money, because when you have a Federal Reserve note, it says on it, you owe the Federal Reserve X amount of money. So if you have a $100 bill, it doesn't mean you have money. It means you have anti-money, which means...
What does Trump say he's going to do about the Federal Reserve?
They're one of the problems, because they kept the interest rates low so they wouldn't crash the economy before Obama leaves. Mm-hmm. What they need to do is raise the rate of interest so we don't have negative interest, because negative interest means when you put your money in the bank, you actually have to pay them to keep it in the bank. And we need to have a positive economy so our value of our currency doesn't devalue. So, yeah, he's going to fix all these things. He's got some great advisors. By the way, remember, Trump, being a novice is good because he has to rely on all these expert advisors rather than thinking he's the smartest man in the room like Obama. It's a really bad thing to have somebody who's really relatively stupid think he's the smartest man in the room on any topic, and he's always screwing things up. He has what I call the anti-Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to fecal matter. That's Obama.
Right here we have Philip in an email. Dr. DEAGLE, thank you for your show yesterday with Mr. Gray. It takes guts to say these things, and I have the same exact understanding as taught to me by my Baptist grandmother 37 years ago. She knew from Bible study, not from church teachings. Keep up the great work and products. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I want people to understand, and I'm going to say, first, the founders of America were all high-level Masons, and they were Christians, many of them Puritans. Okay? Number two, the principles on which they based it was, and this is something that God honors. For example,
you can't be a Christian and a Mason at the same time.
No, let me finish, okay? Mormonism is not a Christian faith, okay? But because they honored godly principles, God blessed them. Islam has some Christian principles in it, even though it's not a godly religion. Mm-hmm. For example, they're pro-life. So God honors that.
True. That's
okay?
True.
So what you have to see is the principles that were put to found America were godly Christian principles. Now,
yes.
Now, the point is that whether it's the medical profession, the legal profession, or any corporate position, or any government office in any country on earth, they're all high-level secret orders. Some of them are doing good at whatever level.
Satan's world here, I'd say.
Yeah, a lot of them are doing good at whatever level they are. But remember, the yardstick for doing the true good is to Shema, to hear do God's will. Many people do good works, but it's in their own eyes.
Exactly.
So the point is, even if all the plans that Trump are doing, and we don't know his heart, all the plans that Trump is doing are all very good for America, we won't know, but the Creator God does know, whether it's because it's in his own heart or because he's narcissistic or he's being directed by people above him who ultimately have intentions that may be using good for evil, and we don't know. Yeah. All we can say is I'm very proud that Trump is our president now. I'm very proud. What I'm not proud of is him constantly making Masonic signs like the 666 sign.
I keep telling you that.
Or these other signs. It's like Donald's. He's almost like he's obsessive compulsive.
All right. Anyways, you and I'm not going to go on the air and talk about it.
For example, I joined Phi Rho Sigma 2 months before I went to medical school, and Phi Rho Sigma was always a good fraternity that did good things. I was tapped up by the Dean of Medicine, which is why I worked in the motion disorders lab, and was part of the reason why I got accepted at UCLA to work with Dr. Torla and one of the most advanced projects. So
yes, as soon as we became believers, we're married and had our children and everything.
Yeah, but you have to understand
that's all
you have
history,
to understand,
and you don't stay in that. Once you become a believer, you renounce all that and you ask God's forgiveness for that, and you move on and become a new person. Anyways,
yeah, but
Paul from Arizona,
God's a judge of hearts. For example,
Paul from
a lot
Arizona.
of Southern Baptist Convention, there's a lot of good Christians, unfortunately, what we call porch Masons, including your dad, who was a porch Mason. And so what people have to understand, just like I was a lower-level person in Phi Rho Sigma, at the highest levels, they may be doing great evil, but we don't know unless you're there, and by the time you're there, you're trapped. Just like, for example, Barack Obama is a 32nd degree Mason, and so is a Scottish Rite Mason, and so is Donald Trump. So we have to understand, you do not get in a position of power anywhere on this planet unless you're in a higher-level secret order.
Well, that's why it's Satan's world, Bill.
Doing either good or evil.
Whose world is it right now?
Well,
whose world is it when Jesus, a couple thousand years ago?
That's why they brought him to high above the temple. So, but people have to understand. We have to understand, though, that the good that Donald Trump's going to do to America is important. So you brought that up. Yeah, go ahead. You're
Paul
waving.
From
Are you
Arizona.
going
That means yes. But I've got to get on with the questions.
Yeah, but you raised that issue, though. Shouldn't have.
I didn't. It was. I'm just reading the emails.
Yeah, but you wave red in front of a bull, and he's going to pop the ground and start snorting.
A bull.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not arguing with that. Paul from Arizona. Last week you mentioned
It'll make you laugh a little.
A few tests that most cardiologists are not aware of. I have CHF, and this time of year, the last 2 years, I experience shortness of breath and weakness. Stairs become mountains. I am a disabled vet.
Right.
And can get testing from the VA even though their cardiologist does not have a clue. I plan to follow your suggestions, and I enjoy your show.
Okay, well, first you have to describe what congestive heart failure is. And I'm going to start off by challenging all the cardiologists, all the internists, all the family doctors and nurses. Your heart does not pump the majority of blood away from your heart to your body. Your heart pumps probably 25 to 30%. The rest of it is pumped by your blood vessels, and you can actually determine that because it's published in cardiology journals by non-Newtonian fluid dynamic equations on blood flow. and your blood vessels contract in response to the primary shearing force wave of your heart, and they contract. Now, they contract by releasing nitric oxide. There's also a thing called a vasa nervorum, which is actually a nerve complex on the outside of the blood vessels, and it sends a signal inside to the media layer, which is a muscular area, to create a peristaltic wave like a snake swallowing a mouse. And that snake-like contraction is actually what pushes the blood forward. And then if you don't produce nitric oxide, which you can test with several things, you can do an endopat or endothelix blood test to see if you are producing a capillary response and blood vessel response. You can also do a test called a nitric oxide test with Berkeley test strips, which, by the way, we're soon going to have linked up so people can purchase them through our site as well. And the Berkeley test strips you just put in the back of your tongue, say first thing in the morning, and they'll turn pink, the proper color pink, if you're producing nitric oxide. But it's not the only test I want people to do. Do an endopat or endothelix. So we have a baseline. The other thing they should do is they should measure, they can actually do tests like the cardio-ion panel. Yeah. And the supplements for it are number one, Cardiovasc, Supernox.
Supernox is the nitric oxide,
right? Nitric
it's
oxide.
The main one.
Right. CoQ10, ubiquinol, you want both, and vascular carnitine. Then for the blood vessel wall health, you want to take ultrathymine B1 and Vein Away, and you want to take Omega Supreme, our new Omega Supreme, which is super, Omega Supreme Pro. Nobody in the world has anything like it, and Omega Supreme Krill. And that's a basic core protocol. You want to stop free radicals because the free radicals paralyze the nerves. So you want to be the nerves and the blood vessels and the vasa nervorum on the outside of the blood vessel, because people don't realize that congestive heart failure doctors are focusing just on the heart, and the primary cause of the problem is the metabolism of the blood vessels.
Interesting. Bill, the Vein Away. What is the Vein Away besides for your veins? What is it?
It heals all arteries and capillaries in the body.
It what?
Heals all arteries, capillaries, and venules and veins in the body.
And what else does it do? Is that the main thing?
In the back of your eye, your kidneys, your loop of hand.
What's his name, the board dog?
Dan.
Dan, my dear. Wake up, my dear.
Okay, Michelle, go ahead with your question. Go ahead.
This is John in an email. My name is John, and a co-worker of mine referred me to your products. I am dealing with a condition, Bill, called what's that? Can you read that?
Non-arteritic ischemic optic neuropathy.
Basically, it means my optic nerve has swollen, which causes damage to the back of my eye. I was diagnosed about 3 weeks ago, and about 75% of my right eye is blurry. That's scary. The optic nerve will eventually go back to normal, but there will be some permanent damage to the nerve fibers in my eye. The ophthalmologist and a neuro-ophthalmologist both told me that once the damage is done, the statistics show that over time 1/3 of the people get worse, 1/3 of the people stay the same, and 1/3 of the people see some type of improvement. They started him on prednisone.
Prednisone is useless. It only blocks certain of the inflammatory markers that work in the body. There are prostaglandins that it may affect, but it won't affect leukotrienes or other cytokines. It also won't reverse patchy dysmyelination or loss of the vascular connections between the Bruch's membrane and the actual rods and cones.
Yes.
So the problem is that these ophthalmologists and even retinologists are not dealing with the biochemistry of the back of the eye. They're dealing with what I call older technology, which is using steroids alone. Yeah. Steroids are not the main thing. You want to have things like gamma 8+, CoQ10 ubiquinol, and you want to have other things to stop the free radicals. You also want Neurogen and sphingolin, which is myelin-basic protein, to remyelinate the loss of optic nerve fibers, because if you actually looked at the optic nerve fibers, you're actually getting a pulse swelling, dysmyelination of the retrobulbar optic nerve. And you actually can do a T1 weighted MRI scan and look at the retrobulbar optic nerve, and you can see the dysmyelination after the trauma. So these doctors don't know what they're doing. Sorry to say. But if you approach the biochemistry, not just the ophthalmology, you can actually reverse it and get better recovery. You can also use peptides, which I can obtain from the European Academy of Sciences, and you can use lumen photon and micropulse to get the stem cells in there to regenerate it. And we can also do stem cell therapy if you want that as well.
The peptides are on our website now.
No, they're not.
Oh, they're not.
They have to get them through me.
Through you. Okay.
If they don't do a consult, they don't get peptides, and I have to select which ones I need for a particular condition. So they're not on the website. They have to go through me. Jim
from Missouri, what are your recommended products for Bill? His 82-year-old mother has mild Alzheimer's.
Firstly, Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain. Your GLUT4 transporter working in your astrocytes stops working, So you want to take leptin, metabolic, diabetes, and berberstatin. You want to increase the microcirculation of neurotransmitters with cognition plus brain power. And you want to start adding cholinergic store support with CDP choline, uridine, monophosphate, and uridine, depending on whether you're fast or slow acetylator. And I can tell based on your 23andMe and gene SNP analysis using Prometheus. And you want to take what's called the cytidine choline. And when you take those components, I can reverse the Alzheimer's disease dramatically in any way. Turn off the inflammation, shut down the free radicals, restore the neurotransmitter levels, and restore blood flow and sugar metabolism in the brain.
Well, my dear, this is for a lot of people a long weekend.
Thank you, veterans, again.
USPS isn't picking up today, so we're waiting till Monday to send out your packages. And God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend, whether it's long or short. And Daddy B, what do you have to say?
God bless our veterans and God bless